Welcome to another episode of 27th Letters Podcast. My name is Landry Onuginde Bay. Today, joining us is Kudjo Adwo out of the Canaan Land Moors. This person in particular is one of my teachers. I'm proud to say that. When it comes to this Moorish science things and even in life in general. Since I met the brother back in 2010, I know his cousin and I, soon went to high school together, and then he made the introduction because he was on the science too, and started going to classes because they had classes at Flemo. Like mine just came out April 23rd, 2010. And by that same summer, I was going to classes, I believe, in Flemo. And ironically, an incident happened. Like, I got the information that first year, but it wasn't something I really got on. And this is the incident that kind of galvanized me into really looking into my nationality, because if you don't know, I recently had gotten out on a life sentence, won my appeal after 8 years, almost 8 years. So, I'm just out here trying to restructure my life and figure things out, So a year after I got out, it was, Good Friday. I got into exercising while I was incarcerated. It helps with the mental state, and by being incarcerated you need to be able to balance that. So I kept that up even out here because it's just the same thing out here. And I just happened to go to the gym, and I ran into the prosecutor, the Crown, from the case I was incarcerated for. And make a long story short, we must have just innocent, innocuous conversation, and it was the second time I seen her within that year, because the first time I seen her was like a few weeks after I came out, because while I was incarcerated on my way out, after I won my appeal, when I knew I was going to get out, they sent me back to the city jail from the pen. And a lot of the younger generation that were kind of facing life had a lot of questions for me, and they kind of gravitated towards me. So after I got out, I looked into going to court and just being in the audience, because I know how important that is, because I had nobody there for me in the audience when I was at trial. So that's how I ran into her the first time in court, and then another time a year later. In that one time, the second time I seen her, after that interaction, like I said, I got into the Moorish science, but I wasn't really into it yet. Like, I know about it. Like, I went to a couple of classes. Like I said, this is what really galvanized me into really looking into my nationality. So after that conversation, she basically made up a story that I threatened her, and there's a warrant for my arrest, and whole bag of nonsense happened. I got kidnapped, and then, make a long story short, they end up dropping the charges. But by that time, I remember after I got bailed that time, and it was like maybe a couple of days after there was class, and I went to class. I was at Flemo. I was tired too. Like I said, like, I'm trying to get my life back together, and this issue just lands on my lap. And for a year, I was just, doing regular stuff, nothing. Like I said, I'm just still trying to figure things out. Being incarcerated for 8 years. And Kudjo was, the Grand Sheik of the temple, was giving his lecture. And I remember I was tired. I must have dozed off. I woke up a couple of times. And the couple of times I looked up, I looked at Kudjo, and he's looking dead at me. And he's doing his lecture, but I don't know if he knew that he was looking at me, but I was like, God. It was like almost like, a wake up call moment. Like, bro, you need to pay attention. Long story short, after that, like being falsely accused of that with that incident just really got like I did a whole video. After this, I became pretty much passionate and obsessed with this Moorish nationality thing, and there's a whole set of videos that I put up under my name is my name, Canon and Moorish. You can use it, look it up, 1206 video. I'm gonna put the link below so you can follow those my journey as I came out as a quote unquote ex-convict who, you have to think, they did not expect me to even gravitate towards something, this information, but it made so much sense to me that I had no choice because I knew what it is to be a slave and being tagged a slave and so on and so forth, being incarcerated. So I know that the correlation when this information started coming, I'm okay. So, okay. So this is why they think the black guy thing, even if I was wearing a suit, I'm still a black guy, no matter briefcase, black guy, successful businessman, black guy, okay. All right. So I can't be running around talking about this black power thing because it's obvious it's a trap in the end, no matter what. There's a ceiling to this thing. You know what I mean? As far as freedom goes, you know what I mean? Being a free person. You know, and I value that. You understand where I'm coming from. You know, this means a lot to me. After I came out after 8 years, almost 8 years of being falsely accused, where I should not even got convicted for what I got convicted for back in 2002, getting sentenced to life. I had to wait for an appeal. So like I know about the system very well. So again, even with me getting into this science, it really shocked the system because I wasn't supposed to gravitate towards it like I'm supposed to, because for the longest time, I was a person that was incarcerated. It had me, anytime they could tell me, yo, strip, bend over, and I was doing all that. Now I'm in my right mind, like, what? Hold on. My birthright, my nationality as a Moor, this is not dignified of a Moor. How is a man able to tell me and I'm able to just listen? The social condition is there. No man on road could come up to me and tell me to strip and bend over without it ending in some type of madness. But with the system, how we've been trained, we get arrested, go in, we get abused in any way, shape, or form. Our family get abused, families get broken up, and it's just expected and accepted. You know what I mean? But an ex-man spit close to you and you kill him. You know what I mean? But the system could abuse us. So basically, this information became my shield. It enhanced my faith. It enhanced my confidence. It enhanced my self-esteem to a different level. Remember, I told you, even as a businessman, even if I came out and said, you know what, I'm just going to be a regular businessman, be a successful businessman, you know, peddling the black power, I just came out of jail and, doing the regular, you know what I mean? There's still a ceiling. These guys, they have a cap, like, because you still got to work with the corporations. But anyways, I'm going to get right into it. I've been going on about it, but this is how passionate, and he'll tell you, because he's passionate about it. If you go on his page, no long talking. You talk some, he's letting you know. But Kudjo Adwo, thank you for joining us. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Done as an emcee, Grand Sheik, you know what I mean? Friend, you know what I mean? I see how you are as a son, always checking for your mom, you know? So all these things, I see it. Appreciate it, appreciate it.
Thanks, sir.
So make a long story short, who's your mother?
My mother is Allison McCletchy, and our bloodline goes back to Trinidad and Tobago. That the indigenous name is Alubera and Calibe.
Okay, so that's the indigenous name for Trinidad.
Yeah.
Okay. See, we're gonna get into that. That's another thing that more sense, as you get into Moorish, you gotta know the difference between like the ancient and more corporate names, modern corporate names, because that's where it's been said, it's through literature. This is how everything's gonna change. How we speak, what we say. You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah, you were born here, right?
Yeah. Born here. Actually, it was a West Ender before.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Jane and Wilner, went to George Syme Public School out there, and then about 80, left here, then went to live in Trinidad and Tobago for a bit.
Okay, so you went back.
Yeah. The plan was to go back and then just be there, but that didn't work out. Came back.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where's your dad? Is your dad up here or is he back there?
My dad, he retired and he went back, built his house, and he's chilling back home now.
Okay, and your parents met here, right?
Yeah, they met. Yeah, they met here. Yeah.
So he's like, yeah, I'm retired. I'm out. Peace.
Yeah.
So did you go check him often?
Yeah. Last time I was there was 2017.
Okay.
And prior to that, I wasn't there since 93.
Okay. So how's the early childhood like before you like? I guess how old were you when you moved back home?
Yeah, moved back there. I was like 5 or something.
Okay. So
Five.
You really don't remember much. Basically, early on is Trinidad life as a childhood. And how long were you there?
I was there from 80 to about 88, 7-8 years.
Okay. So how's life there?
Well, I think the main thing about life there is that there's nature everywhere. You know what I mean? Oceans right over there, fruits right there, vegetables right there. You know what I mean? Chickens right there. You know, lizard right there. You know, snakes right there. So it was
country life.
Yeah, it was basically country life.
Country life.
The type of not the hustle bustle.
Not the concrete jungle.
Yeah, not the concrete jungle life. You know, great experience there. You know what I mean?
How was school there? Was it strict? It was strict.
Yeah. School there was no joke. School there was no joke.
Yeah, trust me. So you couldn't be late in class.
Yeah, when teachers could beat you, school is no joke.
Put your hand out.
Yeah. Not even man. They were giving you the straight back, ass, whatever. You were getting it. Man hiding under tables, trying to escape the whip, all types of madness. Bro. It was real. The discipline there was, but that was part of the whole thing. You know what I mean? That it takes a village.
For sure.
The village included, the shopkeeper, the parents, the aunts, the uncles. You know what I mean? The principal, teacher, caretaker. It doesn't matter. Everybody's taking some type of responsibility. You know what I mean? And then because where we lived at in Roxborough, my dad was a teacher, so everybody knew him.
Wow.
So there was no doing stuff anyways, because he knows everybody.
Was your mom was back there too, or she stayed here?
Yeah. She was back there too. Yeah.
Okay,
that was before they got divorced.
Okay.
So this is so that time between 80 and 88 when we were back there, my mom was there too.
So after 88 they got divorced.
Yeah. After that, yeah.
Okay.
After they came back here, they probably got divorced.
Oh, they both came back?
Yeah. Everybody came back.
Okay, so
you were there, and then everybody came back.
You fought back to the concrete jungle.
Yeah. And then been here since.
Okay, but
until he left.
Your parents got divorced and your dad moved back.
Right, and then dad moved back. Yeah, after he retired and all that, he went back. He said, "Forget this."
Okay, but you still keep in contact. And,
Oh yeah.
Okay. So you grew up with your dad around pretty much.
Yeah. I had a 2-family household majority of my life.
Blessed.
Yeah.
Blessed. So back before you moved, were you playing sports back then?
Only sport you had there was cricket. That was it.
What? That's what you're dealing with? You can play cricket?
Was it. Yeah. A little bit of cricket. A little bit of soccer, but mainly cricket.
Okay.
Played on all the school
So it's
teams.
like, yo, go out and play type of thing. What are you playing? Cricket.
Yeah, yeah.
Or you going fishing or swimming, something like that.
And well, swimming wasn't even like a sport like that. You could just go swim anytime. Anytime we had a river at the back of the house, you
It's
want
there.
to swim, you go swim. Like it's
It's
not
right
even like,
there.
yeah,
It's right there.
ocean's right over there. If you want to go swim, you just go jump in the ocean. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It wasn't like you need to wait for the pool to be open and all this before you could go catch a swim.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
So, yo, how was the transition from in '88 back up here?
Well, the
Because your parents were still together at that point.
yeah.
How long did they stay together before you went back?
They got divorced like it was after high school, like 90s, mid 90s.
Couple of years.
90s, late 90s, yeah. Yeah, a good amount of time still.
Oh, late 90s.
Yeah.
So good, almost 10.
Yeah. At least 10 years before after we came back here.
Okay. See. Okay. So what was that like that coming back and getting familiar, you know what I mean?
Well, when I left, I wasn't really.
Were the man them treat you like a freshie them time there?
When I left, I was young when I left, so getting back, it wasn't really like it was a new thing, you know what I mean?
It wasn't a culture shock.
Yeah, it wasn't no culture shock like that. And then on top of that, when I came back, I lived at your students when we first came back.
Oh, word.
Yeah. So I was at your students, so we got a good thing back here. We came in proper.
Oh,
we came in good, Yeah.
Get out to you soon.
There for a little bit.
The common denominator.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Until we got ourselves in order. When we got back, we were staying at his spot. So the transition back wasn't crazy. You know what I mean?
Okay. So after that, there was no more cricket. It was strictly.
Yeah. After that, cricket was done. Yeah.
Basketball.
I think maybe like grade 8 or 9. I gave it a thought or something, but it wasn't going on.
Okay. You played. What sports did you play in school?
Did a little bit of track. Did long jump. Did soccer, and basketball.
Okay, but which one was the main one?
The main one was ball. That was the main.
Okay.
Yeah, because I had the
For the record, let's inquiring minds want to know who's better, you or your son.
Oh, your son's way better. way better. He's still balling. That's how. He's still balling. With his one hand and his one foot.
My chest is hurting, yo. I was like, what happened? He goes, yo, man. I think it was Boogie's son elbowed him in his chest.
And still going.
It's like, bro, nah, yo. Yeah. Even with my children, I'm like, when they start roughhousing around me, I'm like, yo, man, I'm chill. They don't hurt me. Like, yo, me.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah. How was school for you? Like, were you studious? Like, how was your grades in school?
I was probably about a B in high school.
Okay.
About a B. I had some C's in there, but school wasn't.
So you had no problem doing school.
No, school wasn't an issue like that, and again too with where we went to school. We went to Mark Garneau, which is right around the corner from Flemo. Yeah. So even Valley Park, everybody from the block went to the school. So it wasn't even like you're going to school. You know what I mean? You're just chilling every day, all day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everybody lives close. The school's right there. You know what I mean?
So did it feel like that village there almost being in Flemo?
No, it was it was real. It was real. Like it was again going back to the thing like getting back here. Some of the culture shock stuff, for example. Hip hop music for the first time and stuff like that.
That's my next question.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So That was where that influence.
So that was okay. That leads to what were your earliest memories of music, in particular hip hop? What role the hip hop played in it?
Earliest one was probably grade. This is grade 7. Grade 7, maybe right before grade 7. So yeah, very right before grade 7. I think we were listening to something. I was listening to one of those stations, either 88 or 89 or something. Okay. And they played a Kane song.
Oh yeah?
First time I heard a Kane song ever. And
what song was that?
I think it was Set It Off.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it was Set It Off.
For me, when hip hop, when I forward to this parts, the hip hop that I got introduced to by my homie Terrence Campbell, shout out to Terrence Campbell, Bishop Tutu. You know what I mean? I used to live down by Bathurst and Queen back in the days when I first touched around these parts.
Yeah.
But it was Special Ed, The Mission.
Yeah.
So see, that was like.
Yeah, that's a good intro. That's a good first crack.
Yeah, what is this movie? What is this movie? I'm hearing my ears, but I'm seeing it in my mind.
Yeah, you're seeing it. Yeah.
What is
the music? Yeah.
Again.
The James Bond music? Yeah. Yeah, that was a good one.
So yeah, you say Kane, eh?
Yeah. Kane was the first. Okay. That I was like, whoa, what is this? this is what this is. Oh, this is good. You know what I mean?
So did you start writing right away, or was it a slow progression?
Yeah, no, it was a progression. It was more, just
did you break dance?
Getting familiar.
Break dancing thing?
A little bit, even back home more, because breaking was going on there, but it wasn't the thing like that. You know what I mean? It was just little one or two, but I was never really dancer like that. Yeah, I never really danced like that. Later on started DJing, but that's way later.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, that's way later.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
The initial thing was emcee.
Wait, like, do you mean like on the 1-2s and stuff like that? You a DJ?
Yeah, go playing at like basement stuff and
what was your DJ name?
Second to None. It was me and his brethren Kareem.
Okay, I never knew that.
Yeah, Second to None. Yeah, so we used to go because our thing was the reason why we started even DJing was because it was sort of during that transition time when the music started changing. And then we couldn't hear the stuff that we want to hear. So our stuff was like, we were playing like all the hardcore.
Underground.
You know what I mean? Underground R&B, underground hip hop, like no party and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So Second to None. Big up to Polydor, yeah. That was my DJ partner.
That's sick. I don't do that. You know what I mean? So when did you start actually recording?
Started recording and
you remember your first rhyme, first thing you wrote?
Oh no, I can't remember the first rhyme. I definitely can't remember the first rhyme. But I'll send you the I have we recorded in '93. We were working with Master Nia.
Nia, okay.
Right? Yeah. Shout out to CMP and Nia.
CMP, right? Nia, I need you. Salute to
because,
Nia.
Nia still is the man from back then.
I'm trying to get him to do a podcast with me to get the interview done.
Grinding right now. He's grinding.
I know.
Big time now.
So I remember. Yeah, you were recording with Nia, and you're still
with Nia.
And at this point, were you in the streets? Because at this point, you know what I mean? Were you doing anything? Like, were you working? What were you doing? Were you hustling? Were you doing anything? Because
this is '93, so
this is before mans became who they are now.
Yeah.
This is before knowledge yourself.
So 90, let's see. So 88, 89 was Valley Park. Grade 7, grade 8. Grade 9 started 1990. And then what was I doing around them times, 90. I think I had like newspaper route or something, or McDonald's or something. Doing something.
What I want to know is, at what point, or did the streets ever play the influence in how you gain revenue type of shit? Like, were you hustling? You know what I mean? Like,
there was probably
nickel and diming a little something if you're out
there was probably a little time where maybe 92 to about 94 or whatever. There was a man that was big time downtown, and we used to run for him. Okay. But he also had a record label. So it was sort of like, the music thing's not working or the music thing's slow, then we just go to this man's hotel for the day, and we just be running all day.
Okay.
I'm saying, and then that was sort of, bringing in, like you're saying, when you realize that McDonald's can't get you the shoes you want and the jeans you want and the hat you want.
I know.
You got to get it some other way, way faster than what it is. So, that probably went till about.
How old were you at that point?
Right. That was what, 90, 17, 18?
Yeah. So.
Yeah, 17, 18.
We got to fend for ourselves at that point. Yeah, there's no asking mom for nothing.
No, there was not even. That wasn't even.
She's working.
You just make your way. You just make your way. You know what I mean? Get it how you could get it, and spend it when you get it, and keep it moving.
Sick. Yeah. But you never got yourself caught up where you got locked up or anything like that.
No. That was sort of.
So what happened? What happened made you stop? What did you say? Yo, you know what? Won this.
This one time, went to do a drop off, and had to go meet this custody at Adelaide and something, and the custody came with.
Custody means like a dope fiend.
Yeah, like a fiend. Yeah. So the fiend came with the baby.
Oh.
To get the thing. And that messed me up.
Yo, you say
that's the one that messed me up.
You can really write about those rhymes, yo.
Yeah. That one there was the one that messed me up. I was like, why you have, and it wasn't even like, it was like 1 a.m. or something crazy, you know what I mean? It was winter time. Like, why you have baby outside in the winter? Like, what are you doing? Well, nobody could watch her. And I was like, this is too much. I was feeling guilty and shit. And I was like, I don't like this guilt trip stuff that's going on right now.
Okay.
And at that point there, I think that was sort of the wake up. You know what I mean? That was sort of the wake up call.
For me, when it came to the street stuff, like, I never really admitted it to even on record, but it's probably the first time I admitted it. Like, I hustled sold a little weed. And my motto was, when it comes to this street shit, it's like, I ain't selling nothing I don't take myself.
Mm.
Real shit.
Yeah.
That's it. You know what I mean? So it was just weed. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Out of sight, out of sight, out of mind. That, killing your own people and all that stuff.
Like, I have my homies, people around me,
yeah,
like, go into other stuff, but I kind of just, and plus I always worked. That's part of the reason why I even started hustling weed, because my coworkers knew I lived on the block.
Yeah.
At the end of my shift, like I said, yo, they'd be like, yo, you could grab me something. So I'm like, I'm just gonna grab me.
I might as well just grab,
and I'm just gonna break it down. So really, I started hustling because I was working. It is. There's many ways to this hustling thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, straight.
But so that So your music at that point probably reflected that street life.
Yeah, more so because the other part with the music thing was that because we came up on the on the cane and you know what I mean
Rakim.
Rakim and you know the music with content, if you will, you know what I mean. My stuff was more toward lyricism than talking about, you know, what's going on around me and my environment type of thing. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah, so the music part helped with sort of staying grounded and staying out of certain situations or whatever, because if it's not music, then you have all this other stuff to deal with.
I remember you said sometime somewhere I was watching something when you said something like you went to Nia's to record and he was like, "Yo, I don't know what you guys were rapping about. He got tired of it. And he's like, "Yo, you guys should just pick up a book and read."
Yeah. Because he had the library at the studio those times. So, and you know, we're just, you know, again, it was me, if you know Ace. I don't know if you've seen Ace with Rock sometimes from Flemo, and another brethren, Apocalypse, who moved out to St. Catharines. Actually, his brother was at the last barbecue from St. Catharines, Bandana, Malik, and he came with his family and all that. But
okay, I don't remember still, but
yeah. But Malik's on the info now, like those ones, you know what I mean?
Okay.
And we had it was grade 9. It was grade 9 when we had our first show at International Night. We performed for International Night, and had the place wilding. So then we said, yo, we gotta deal with this. So we started up a little group and all that, and the group was first Up to No Good.
That's the name?
Yeah. UTNG was the first group. And we got to Nia's, and he was just like, you gotta change up.
That's not making it.
Yeah, you gotta change up some stuff. So still wasn't really on it like that. Still dealt with the lyricism and whatever, you know what I mean? And then I think about maybe like 94, 95, I went solo, and then Apocalypse and Ace started a group, Ill Visions. Okay. And Ill Visions, they got some radio play and stuff like that. They had a couple singles out, you know what I mean? They were banging at that time.
Okay.
But yeah, Nia's spot was sort of like, it's kind of like a saving grace, because he was super chill back then. You know what I mean? You know, we go to the studio, we get our work in, we get our real knowledge in, you know, teaching us about the game and how
it was an outlet. It was an outlet. Yeah. An outlet for you.
The other thing good too about with Nia's studio was that back then it was about it was ASR and reels and all that before digital.
Okay.
So we had, you know what I mean, everything, you know, your stuff had to be tight, because you can't do the reel over and over. Like, your stuff has to be done when we're recording. One shot.
There's no
none of that, yo. None of that cut and paste stuff these people got going on today. None of that. Reels and all that. So it was a good experience from that perspective too, you know, especially with seeing the transition happen and seeing what it came from to what it is. You know what I mean? It was a good experience being at Crazy Mental.
Yeah. So yeah, also, like, what was the religion that you were raised on? You know,
yeah, Christianity, going to church and all that.
Okay.
But even that, when that was I think it was the same time in '93. It was sort of like I think that year was like a kind of like a family reunion. Like, everybody went home that year. You know what I'm saying? So everybody was there.
Okay.
And almost everybody. And we're at church one time, We're just at church. You could probably ask Yasun about this. He could verify this. So we're at church. Because, it was this thing, every Sunday, you gotta go to church for it. So we're at church, front row. We're front row and stuff like that because church was right by the house. Front row. And then we're just hearing snoring, loud snoring. Look down the thing. It's our Uncle Tom. Head back, mouth open, sleeping in church. At that time there, I realized that, okay, something's up with this because there's no way man's just sleeping during the thing and nobody's not saying nothing, nobody's not waking nobody up, nothing. They just let this man be out cold in church. This stuff's not serious, You can't take this serious. Can't take this serious.
Some practice, some dress rehearsal thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I asked you that question because next question I'm gonna ask you is because how did you get into Moorish science and what does that mean to you?
I got into Moorish science through Dr. Aleem Bey, who back in 2005, 2006, we were doing lectures and stuff out here. And he was one of the people that we brought here for a lecture. And he did, but prior to that, he has this lecture on YouTube called Shaman Healing or something. You can look it up. Aleem Bey, Shaman something. And he's wearing a gray and he's at a chalkboard. And watch that, and that brought us into metaphysics. And then once he got into metaphysics, brought him here to do the metaphysical lecture. And then he came here with the plates. Came with the Moorish plates, the Washita plates. And then that happened at the end of the lecture, while we're outside chilling or whatever like that. And like, hold on a second, what kind of plates are those? Like, those aren't plates from New York or whatever like that. And then he starts talking about the indigenous stuff and how we're connected to that. So then we have to bring them back again.
Crumbs being put down.
Just little crumbs. And again, you could look at it
because of who you are, because it's not like other people are not seeing these crumbs. Or maybe they're not because they're not on that frequency, but maybe some are and they're seeing it with you and you guys are following it. Because along the way, you see what I noticed with this information is there are people who got into the science and then kind of fell off of it. So it's like,
it's not for everybody. Yeah, definitely not for everybody.
So
not for everybody.
So for you, you're like, it was just being connected and you were just following it because that's how I felt too.
Yeah. It was just like being open to info. Because once you get to the level of we're conscious and we built the pyramids and whatever like that, something opens up to you where info is always just presenting itself to you. You know what I mean? And are you observant enough to pick up on these little keys or little seeds or whatever being dropped by the ancestors for you to take yourself further, or you know what I mean, you miss it whenever it comes around again, you'll get it then or whatever.
So this is where even in the holy book, the Bible, when Christ Yeshua was talking about talent, when he gave those people the talent, it's like the information, especially when in the information age, you guys are gonna, a lot of people more. I think I was telling you this. I sent it to a text where it's like whatever you've been like, especially with my peers, whatever you've been doing your whole life is really manifesting now. If you've been taking care of yourself, it's gonna manifest. It's manifesting now. You feel what I'm saying? So the seeds that we've been planting, all this, like with our talents, whatever we've been doing, is really what's really gonna either help us ascend or descend. You know what I mean?
Right.
So so you're saying the information was being put there. You had the metaphysics.
So Dr. Aleem, Dr. Aleem was the first, the first Moor who like we engaged. You know what I mean? I was able to talk to and whatever. So so we brought him here to do the second lecture.
When was that?
2000. 2006, 2007.
Okay.
Yeah, or 2005, 2006, somewhere around there.
Okay.
So he came back again to do the lecture, and this time he talked about the Moorish stuff. You know what I mean, and how we're connected to it or whatever like that. That was when we were out in the West End at the Marcus Garvey Center.
So this is the first time you're officially hearing this Moorish.
Yeah. This is the first time. Like we heard it before. One Love Foundation had a lecture prior to the Aleem with Umar Shabazz Bey of the Washita. I never got to go to it, but we got the DVD of it or whatever. But actual interaction. So that was probably the first time, the Umar Shabazz Bey lecture about the Moorish aspect, and then Dr. Aleem was the personal Moorish connection to this. Mm-hmm. And then once he did that second lecture, then it was about, all right, well, time to research and find out, what this is really about. And then contacted with some Moors on MySpace, went to Chicago to go check out the temple and all that. And then that was a whole thing in itself, whole different world, with regard to the experiencing the Moorish paradigm. Mm-hmm. Went there, got our charter from them, and then came back and started putting in the work.
Islam. So what does it mean to you? Like, what does nationality, to declare yourself a Moorish American, what does it mean to you to declare that nationality?
Well, just to backtrack, we come from Black Power and Nuwapian and Rastafarian and all these different schools of thought, Mm-hmm. And then studying this information, you realize where all those things are lacking, and where they're lacking is what is our nationality. So they talk about nation all the time, but they never say what the nationality is. You know what I mean? So I think the meaningfulness of this is that it ties you to a historical, even a spiritual, metaphysical reference point that you don't really get in all the different schools of thought, just for the simple fact that they don't teach about the nationality. They might say nation, you know what I mean? They might claim they have a flag and certain things, but the aspect of what is your nationality, and then also the importance of it to other people, that when you talk to other individuals and you realize they don't call themselves yellow and brown and purple and whatever like that, you're like, hold on a second, how come? And then you're talking with them, and it's like when we went to the Aga Khan, when we went to the museum, mm-hmm. and people are in there looking at us like, oh, you guys are, whatever, coming up talking.
Basically, yeah, when we went to the museum, the people were looking at us like we're the artifacts coming to life.
Yeah.
Within the museum.
That never happened to me as a Rasta.
That's not happening if we're going in there rocking FUBU.
Never happened as a Rasta or a Nuwapian
or whatever you are.
It's happening. It's not happening like that. You're not getting that type of like organic exchange. You know what I mean? Most of the time, you're getting some type of social conditioned exchange. Oh, you're Black, so that means, oh, you got a hat like that. Oh, so that means that you're probably a drug dealer. Oh, you got a hoodie, so that means that whatever. Oh, but start talking nationality, it's a whole different conversation with people. And I think that's what makes it mean most to me, that it broadens my ability to engage with other people other than my people. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Because when you start engaging these other people, that turns into almost like them being a tour guide or something. So they're gonna reveal some stuff to you that you wouldn't even think about or ask about or whatever with the Black, Negro, colored African mindset.
I can't remember. I'm trying to look at the post. I'm trying to find a post. There's a politician. One day I had my fez on, and there's a politician who, to my surprise, was on the subway, taking the subway. But whatever, it's downtown,
Yeah.
and maybe it's a couple of stops to where he's going. So he's a prominent politician. I can't remember his name right now. It skipped my mind. But like I said, I posted about it. If you want me to send you the link on that post, I'll find it. I'll send it to you. DM me, Larry Obey, on Instagram, and so on and so forth. Or 27th Letters podcast. So I'm on the train, and I told the story before. I'm on the train, and I have my fez on, and I seen the politician, and I realized who he is, and then we're talking, we're engaging. And back then, I think I was working towards publishing the 27 Letters book.
Yeah.
Or I just published it. So the basis of our conversation was that he has daughters. So he's like, oh yeah. And I was like, yeah, I wrote letters to my daughter, Ray Tete. So I'm talking to him while I have my fez on. And while we're talking, I think it was like 2 train stops that he took. And by the end of it, the next stop was supposed to be his, or I don't know if it was really his. But anyways, I was talking to him, and he said, I think he mentioned something about my fez, or something in my hand. And it's a fez, and I mentioned being Moorish American, and the politician looks at me and says, yeah, I've always wanted to go to Morocco. Then I corrected him, like, well, actually, this is Morocco. And at that point, like I said, he got off at the stop. This stopped, the door opened, and he looked at me and he whispered, not too loud. He said, I know, and left. So there's a cap. There's 2 conversations going on a lot of times when you're talking to people, especially people in official positions. You know what I mean? Whether they're hired, that's another conversation.
Yeah.
But some people within official position know the truth.
Yeah.
And there's 2 conversations. If I was just talking about some Black Power thing, civil rights movement,
even gone there.
Having that conversation. He's not admitting to me that this is Morocco.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So the conversation is different. There's 2 conversations going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah. Who are your teachers? Like, who are your main teachers? Once you got into this and you were like, okay, you got the charter, like who were you looking to help you with your
one of the main ones was RV Bay Publications.
Okay.
Because at that time, that website was just the spot to go if you want this info. There was no real other websites out there talking.
Was the real McCoy?
Yeah, right. Taj Tariq Bay, where he was sort of the video DVD version of the website. You know what I mean? So anything that if you want the literary, you go to the website. If you want the visual or the oral lessons, then you go to Taj Tariq Bay, right? Hakeem Bay, Moorish Paradigm. I said Dr. Alim and Mother Kadira, Asir the Duke of Tears. There was a brother who he goes by the appellation Denham L now, but he used to be called Professor I Self before.
Okay.
And he had a lot of info, on sort of the Moorish information was the undercurrent of his info, but he was more speaking metaphysical and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Bobby Hemmett, Phil Valentine, Black Dot. That's another honorable mention.
You know what? That reminds me, shout out to Black Dot. If you guys don't know, I also have a film photography studio that I do music videos, and with Grand Sheik, that's his stage name as an MC. Yeah. He's one of the first, like my first video I believe that I filmed was through them, and it was him and Black Dot.
Oh, that was the first video ever?
Yeah. Yeah, like I just.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and then shortly after we did Thinking Must Change and so on and so forth. So
for real,
yeah, shout out to Black Dot. That's so crazy. You say Black Dot.
Yeah,
and we shot many videos. You can check it out. Trouble Six Studio, Keenan and Morris. Check it out.
Yeah, Black Dot for sure. And again, this is including, you know, even though same thing, even though he doesn't talk Moorish like that, but the undercurrent of his stuff is more science. You know what I mean? Because he's dealing with the metaphysical aspect of hip hop that nobody.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Who else you
So that's a good.
That's you know. Oh, I gotta mention Grand Sheik Nature.
For sure.
Gotta mention Grand Sheik
Shout out
Nature.
to Nature. I just spoke to him the other day.
Yeah,
I got a text from him. I got a text from him. He's like, "Yo, I gotta talk to you more." I was like, "Okay." You just had some simple questions to ask.
Yeah.
About the whole editing thing, because I think he's picking up the camera too.
Oh, for real? Okay.
You know what I mean? So I was just showing him what to do. Shout out to Nature.
Yeah.
Setting right all the people out there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, my next question: who's Noble Drew Ali, and what happened to him?
You could look at Noble Drew Ali as same way you're going to look at El Hajj, you know, Malcolm.
Christ.
Look at Jesus. Same way you look at
Buddha.
Martin Luther. Same way you look at anybody who's putting out any information to try to correct the mindset of our people. He was born 1886, and then he was assassinated in 1929. And he was the one that brought forward the idea that we're not Negro, black, colored, we're Moors. And our nationality
so basically, he's a modern day prophet that brought the modern day salvation.
Yeah.
Like there were other prophets who brought the salvation for that time and period.
Yeah.
Noble Drew Ali was the last. And
right.
he's made, you know what I mean? Predictions that was going to happen, prophecies that was going to happen, and it's happened.
Happened, still happening, and are about to happen.
Islam, you know? So he got assassinated.
Yeah. So he got assassinated in 1929 because of, you know, the infighting with our people. You know, once somebody gets on top, you got there all these people trying to pull them down instead of working with them to try to get everybody on top or whatever.
So now we're talking about, I want you to touch on, as you go on talking about Noble Drew Ali, which schools of thought were the offshoots of Noble Drew Ali's teachings and his students who went on to do other things aside from what he told them to do or he taught them to do?
When we research, or when you do research on Noble Drew Ali, you'll find out that there's a lot of missing information because of who he was during the time of the 1920s. One of the most prominent things that they did as far as Moors in Chicago in the 1920s was get Oscar the Priest elected into Congress. And in history, Oscar the Priest is known as the first black congressman of Chicago. So there's pictures of him and Noble Drew Ali together, right? After Noble Drew Ali got assassinated, that's where the split thing comes in, where you have all these different
so again,
branches.
If you think about it, the story should sound familiar. If you think about all the other prophets' story, after they left the physical realm, what happens?
The disciples start playing holier than thou with the information that they got. The main strayers away from the original teachings is Hebrew Israelites, because they came under Ben Amim, who we think he was a student because of the language that he was talking in the 1930s, 40s, 50s. He's talking about we're not Negro, black, colored, and all that, but we're Hebrew Israelites, and our nationality is Hebrew Israelites. And the Nation of Islam, who members of them were part of Moorish Science Temple during Noble Drew Ali's time, specifically Elijah Muhammad, and Fard Muhammad, and they were heading the Moorish temples in Detroit. And when Noble Drew Ali assassinated, then they changed the temples in Detroit to mosques and started doing the whole Nation of Islam thing.
So can you tell them the correlation between El Hajj Malik Shabazz assassination? Because he went from Malcolm X like that. Like, what was the what happened?
Well, to also go into that, you also have to bring in Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
Because Muhammad Ali and El Hajj were like this. And then they separated because of the fame and nobility, the popularity that was swirling around during that time, and Nation of Islam not wanting it to go to El Hajj because he was already sort of at ease with what was going on inside the Nation of Islam. So which is what made him break off.
Yeah, he wasn't like, there's a lot of issues within the Nation of Islam.
Yeah.
And El Hajj Malik Shabazz wasn't down with it.
Yeah.
Odds with it, but financially they're the ones that were kind of financing a lot of this stuff. So they kind of played the finance game with him. And even when he went to Mecca, and that really opened his eyes to. And I think this is why I'm not sure. I think him and Martin Luther MLK must have sat down, and that's why MLK talked about bringing his people into the burning house,
right?
You know what I mean? Because he realized through the information from El Hajj Malik Shabazz, it just so happened they both were about to be like, "Hey, actually,
we gotta put this together." Yeah. And usually that's how it goes down. As soon as they're about to give up the goods, here comes, you know what I mean? Shot in the face, shot on the stage, aneurysm, you know what I mean? People just dropping off just because, you know what I mean? Because what? He was, when we look at El Hajj, he was about to go to the UN on behalf of all Black people. You know what I mean? Why would somebody not want that to happen? You know what I mean? Especially people on his side. We could see
divide and conquer.
Yeah, we could see the European not wanting that to happen, but why would his own not want that to happen? And going back to the same thing with when we say again the correlation between him and Muhammad Ali, that Muhammad Ali came into it, Cassius Clay, Cassius X, and then Muhammad Ali within the Nation of Islam. El Hajj came in as Malcolm Little, Malcolm X, and then he had to go outside of Nation of Islam to get his L, because there's 5 Moorish names that are the titles of nobility for the Moors.
Well, what are those? Tell them.
Bey, B-E-Y, Day, D-E-Y, Al, A-L, L-E-L, and Ali. So the Nation of Islam, having the lessons of Noble Drew Ali from years before, they call it spiritual name. So they bump Cassius X to Muhammad Ali. And then he had the stuff with going to war, and he wasn't going to go to war and all that stuff. So he said, forget that, I'm not going. They said, fine, we're going to put you in prison. And then he came out of prison as Muhammad Ali. And nobody called him Cassius X ever again after that. And nobody even questioned, hey, how come you not calling you Cassius X no more? They just went with it, And then on top of that, he had the fight where a man called him Cassius Clay, beat his ass or whatever. And then they definitely weren't going to be calling him no Cassius anything after that, right? Whereas El Hajj was Malcolm pretty much right up until he went to Mecca, did his Hajj, and then he got his high name, El Hajj Malik El Shabazz, which El is the Moorish name. And in his biography, he talks about him being in Mecca, and there's blue-eyed Muslims here, and Elijah Muhammad's teaching us that they're the devil, but then I'm eating with food with him, and they're sharing their food with me, and they're giving me their Quran, and they're not acting like how
they're being brotherly.
Yeah, you know what I mean? They're not acting how we're being taught that these people are. You know what I'm saying? You know, that was also what Prodigy was talking about in the Black Devil song, right? Mm-hmm. That it was a European who was looking out for him more than his own people, right? So something's wrong with the teachings if these Europeans aren't really like that.
You know what? For me, another thing that made it easy for me to gravitate towards more science was, one, those Black Power movies, those slave movies never resonated with me too well because it made no sense. I'm like, nah, and them just didn't take that. I don't believe it. Like, it can't just go down like that. And on top of that, until I moved over to this side of the world, the race thing was never an issue. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I manifested in a place called, Misnomer, Nigeria. For the first 10 years, I was there. You know what I'm saying? In Alkebulan. Mm-hmm. So, like, we look at pale skinned people, even from bed, like, they ain't nothing. Like, it wasn't no threat. Yeah. There was no threat until that's when I transferred to the Western world. They started teaching that there's supposed to be a friction between us. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't really buying it. It wasn't registering. The program wasn't registering it. Right. And then I remember, in high school, one of my first girlfriends, she's Colombian and her mom is like Ukrainian or something like that. And I remember it was like Boxing Day. Now Boxing Day is live. We go downtown. Yeah. And with my girl, I remember one of the men from high school seen this, we are this European girl, you're crazy. I was like, what are you talking about? Like, it never really registered to me. All this, like, it just never registered to me. Those things didn't matter to me. You feel what I'm saying? Yeah. So even within like all the religions, there's people who, they might be spiritual, but then they still have their
tendencies,
whatever they've been taught.
Yeah.
In Moorish science, you deal with facts. There's no, it is what it is, whether you like it or not. Even with the fact that there's pale skinned Europeans who are Moors. Yeah. You feel what I'm saying? Like my empress. You know what I mean? Yeah. My children, we have children together. Yeah. Even though, you know what I mean? I know some people say it's amalgamated Moors. But either way, like,
there's still a tie there.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then the whole issue with quote unquote pale skin European and all this race thing, when you do the research, all it is just karma coming back to us, because we know we started the whole freaking slavery thing because they are our children. Yeah. So I don't know, yo.
And then a crazy one with that too is big up to brother KTS, because he was was the European coming up with us in the knowledge when we started getting, you know what I mean, just knowledge of self or whatever like that. And that would be one of the biggest things in the conscious community. When we bring him around or whatever, why are you bringing the enemy here and all this? Like, I'm saying,
and he's realer than the rest of them.
People pulling me on a runaway. Like, why is he here? Like, he's the enemy. We're not supposed to let
crazy,
let the enemy in our stuff and all this. I'm like, are you serious right now? Like, this man just, you know what I mean? gave me some book or whatever that you people never even heard about. Are you telling me that he's the devil or whatever like that when he knows your stuff better than you? What are you talking about? Crazy. It's crazy. But that's a real thing that they put on our people. And it's interesting too that you bring it up too, because that was one of the things with coming into more science as well, that people in other nations, they don't do the black and white racist stuff. It's not even, they don't even know what that is. They only know that when they come over here.
I know. I told you. I just told you that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That was also a part of this that made me stop. Like, hold on a second. There's something different with this. You know what I mean? That if I can talk to somebody somewhere else and they don't even know what black and white is as identities of people, like they don't even know what that is.
They just deal with you, the context of your character. That's all it is.
That's all it is. You know what I mean? And the only way that they know about that is when they come to North America. Even people in Brazil or whatever don't know what black and white and all that stuff is. I'm like, yo, this is some psychological game that they're playing on the people. You know what I mean? And
well, I feel like the internet has been a gift and a curse to that because there's misinformation going on. So you'll have people in Brazil and maybe even in freaking Kebulon saying black power now because the internet and propaganda being pushed and the whole race agenda.
Especially now with the fact checkers and all that stuff, you're definitely not getting no information online now. You know what I mean? Like you're not getting, what do you call it? Analytics and all this. You're not gonna do some Google search and find out some real information right now. Definitely a blessing and a curse.
You know what I noticed? Again, I want to keep pressing the correlation and the familiar one, just like I was raised in a Christian household too, just like you. So I'm very familiar with the Bible. My mom was on me reading Bible stories. So I noticed Noble Ali saying this information is for the young and unborn. And then I remember in the Bible, Christ was saying you gotta be born again. But not go inside your mother and come out. And so and he even says, bring the young. You know what I mean? He always talk about bring the young.
So for the children.
I understand the beneficiaries of this information that's been passed down from one prophet to the next is really benefit the children because one prophet, what he brought benefited us as children at one point. You feel what I'm saying? And so on and so forth. So it's like, I just noticed that correlation that was like the information for me when I came out, I tried sharing it with my peers. Like straight, like
that was the first thing.
It was like dope to me. It was like a new, like I was like, what, yo, this man telling me, while I was locked up, I came out in 2010. They were like in 2007. They heard about the information. I think you guys were giving class at Alton Towers back then, and he's like, I know about all that, but they just working and whatever. And I'm like, you're not gonna practice the 10, yo. Like, anyways,
Actually, just that you're bringing that up, the Alton Towers classes were because that was KTS building.
So-called the enemy.
The enemy went and rented out the lounge room or whatever in the building for us to do classes,
As much as I didn't like some of these Hollywood movies that they put out, there's one that they did that was dope to me that again opened my eyes to the whole race thing being bullshit. It was the one with Stephen Biko with Denzel Washington. Remember, he was like European people that helped him escape and whatnot. You remember Stephen Biko? Remember the story?
I know the story, but
you gotta watch that movie with Denzel in it. You know what I mean? It's an old school story. So little stuff like that. So I was like, yo, bro, this is not about no skin deep stuff. Like this is
beyond that. Definitely.
You know what I mean? But anyways, can you speak on the civil rights movement and how it was deemed unconstitutional way before the civil rights was even started? Even happened?
So our people, because of their position that they take, right?
Which is Negro black colored.
Which is Negro black colored or whatever. There always has to be stuff created for them in order for them to have whatever rights, privileges, opportunities, whatever. The European is always creating stuff for them. They're doing it right now with all this stuff when if you would have heard maybe like 10 years ago, all this grant talk, black grants for all these different black organizations and all that stuff. Whereas when you look at all the other different communities, they fund their own stuff. They're not looking for the European to get some assistance for something. So the Civil Rights Act was in order for these classified people to be able to have rights, right? The problem is that the rights don't come like that. You don't get rights because somebody said you have rights. You have rights because you're born with them. And then your rights comes from the fact that you're belonging to a nation. And then that nation has some type of interaction with other nations. And then that's how you know who respects who doesn't respect who, or whatever. Blacks never had a nation. So they're already in a position of not being respected, not being honored, not being treated fairly, or whatever. So Europeans stepping up and saying, we're going to create an act for these people to have rights is why it's unconstitutional. Because you can't do that.
Give people rights.
Give people rights. The second part of it is that it's said that the so-called African slave cannot be a citizen of a nation. So if you can't be a citizen, then that's 2 strikes against you to have rights, because you're trying to get rights from somewhere where you can't be a citizen of. You know what I mean? It's almost like somebody wants a Whopper and they're going to McDonald's. And then the European is trying to sanction McDonald's to start making Whoppers. And then they sign something saying, okay, yeah, well, if these people go to McDonald's, they can get Whoppers. Right? Which that's not happening. No matter how much somebody signs something or whatever. Another example is the election in Florida, when the blacks were complaining about the votes and all that stuff getting stolen, Jeb Bush stealing black people's votes and whatever like that. That's the exact same thing, because those votes come under civil rights. They can't be counted. So it's not that they were racist why they didn't count the votes. It's because those people aren't even citizens. So their votes don't even count with them taking the vote. You know?
Can you speak on the correlation between like the 13th? I'm pretty sure a lot of people are familiar with the documentary, the 13th.
Oh, the 13th Amendment? Yeah.
Yeah, the documentary, but I'm saying it speaks on the correlation how slavery never ended. A lot of people think, slavery ended. And again, we recognize slavery as just what it was.
Yeah.
On paper. It was all paper. Like a lot of these people went like at gunpoint, like, yo, you need to be like, maybe back in the days.
Yeah.
But even then, slaves revolted.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But what changed? What changed from the cotton field to the workforce to human resources?
Yeah.
From the cotton field to human resources.
Yeah. The initial transition was starting up the prisons. So the plantation became the prison, right? And then anybody who engaged in quote unquote criminal activity, then that's where they're going to be quote unquote housed, or that's where the slave is going to have to be. When you look at the 13th, on the cover of it, they have the ball and chain, but then the guy wearing the prison stuff. Ball and chain is slavery stuff. That's not prison stuff. You know what I mean? That's slavery stuff first. Mm-hmm. So the transition was to get all the people who were misclassified under slavery through being in the prison. Because the only way that you can be a slave is if you commit some crime and you go to jail. So, like what you were talking about with, take off your eat when you can't go here, you can't go there, stay in the cell, don't, right? That's slave mentality. All the correctional officers are the overseers, who would be the guy on the horse telling the slave they could do this, they can't do that, or whatever. So it's directly transfer from it being plantation to it being this institution prison industrial complex, right? That slavery is legal there because these people lost their rights. And then it went from that to now anybody who has an instrument from the slave master, birth certificate, license, whatever like that. And then now that became a different form of slavery, but out here.
That's what I was gonna say. So now people are thinking, yeah, yo, I'm not a slave because I'm not in jail, right there.
Right.
Arrested. But you are a slave.
But you are a slave because
if you're not, if
you're not
birth certificate, all this stuff.
Right.
So now I want to talk about the lockdown and King Alfred plan, how that correlates.
So with the lockdown, just remember that even what we're doing right now, what's going on right now, is planet lockdown right now. Forget lock a cell. They're locking you in your own house right now. Your house is now prison.
You know what? Before you do that, I'm telling you, as a person that served time in prison and did years, the mentality that I had in just getting through the day has become a reality out here too.
Yeah.
Like that type of, you know what I mean? Like,
there's
only so much we could do. Like, there's nothing just in the house.
If there's no stores or whatever.
When I came into the information and the forewarning was told to us, yo, something's gonna happen on the horizon. It's coming. You know what I mean? So King Alfred plan. It wasn't that much of a total shock. Plus, for me, I had that experience already, so I see it. I'm like, oh, I see how, and then you see how the mental effect of it is affecting people. You feel what I'm saying out here?
Yeah.
Like they're not even in a cell, but just in their own house. But the fact that they can't do what they are born to do freely. So this is it. If your rights get taken away, be going to jail, then they make it look like they could give you rights. So you see, it's like they're playing both hands. But really and truly, they don't have no right to do anything unless you give them consent to do it, and put yourself in a position where whether it's committing crime or not living right. You know what I mean? That's how they're able to exert the thing on you. You know what I mean? Like the thing on you. You know?
So King Alfred plan came about so that if the slaves get out of hand, they have a hour by hour way of dealing with the insurrection. Right. So when they talk about police murdered somebody and then these people are in the streets and they're burning stuff or whatever like that, they have a timeline of, based on what the actions of the people is based on the actions of what the quote unquote government or whatever is going to do in order to suppress whatever's going on, which is why you never see that stuff go anywhere. You know what I mean? And it's the same thing that they do every time.
And this is why BLM, all this organization, this crazy ass lawyers that represent these families of the deceased, they're all part of that plan. Like this is real, what do you call it? The Truman Show. We live this Truman Show era. And if you don't know, if you're not knowing what's going on, you're going to get played. You know what I'm saying? You're going to get played emotionally. And then when you're emotional, you can't think and you might end up somewhere you don't want to be.
That you don't want to be. Straight. Right. So all that stuff is correlated. Civil Rights Act, 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment, Canada Charter of Rights and Freedoms. All these things are correlated so that King Alfred plan could be implemented at any time because the people have a lack of reality. Like you said, they're dealing with the Truman Show. So if you're realizing you're in the Truman Show, but you're not trying to be a true man, or like a real true man, then you're part of the show.
And you know what? This leads me to my next question. How much of this reality, quote unquote reality, called life is a game at this point?
Well,
because I'm pretty sure that everybody, even with us, even being as informed as that we are, some of the stuff we see, we're like, God damn, that's what's you guys are crazy out here. You know what I mean? So I can imagine what it is for people who are like
who don't know, oblivious. One documentary I would say for for people to watch to get sort of caught up to speed with that whole idea that you're talking about, reality versus virtual reality, if you will. This documentary called Glitch in the Matrix. Never seen that one there? That one there would send you off into some other thing. Yeah, when you actually, it's a nerd documentary. So it's kind of, it's like Revenge of the Nerds, paying everybody back by squealing on what the nerds know and nobody else knows type of thing. So that's sort of the language. It's like nerd language, but they get to the point as to if this thing is a reality or if it's virtual. And they make a very just like the flat earthers make a very convincing argument of is everything that we're seeing out here a real thing? Like, is the sun a real thing?
Yo, fam, I don't know what these millionaires, man, that just out of nowhere. Like, I understand, the 5% that have the powers, they have the information.
Yeah.
But I don't know how much it is to build a rocket, but like that's what I'll be gathering up all the. If I'm up there with these millionaires, I'm like, yo, if I'm a baller getting all this 50 million, yo, what's going on? We got to build a rocket, yo. We need to get up there. It can't just be Elon Musk.
Yeah. One or two. Yeah.
You guys just want to build fucking houses, get bouncing cars, and have pool parties. Let's build a rocket. Let's go check out what's up there, yo. Like, let me know what's going on. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's what I'd be on. I'd be like, I'm trying to get what's going on up there.
Yeah.
It's something out there, yo. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah. It's crazy.
And that's if there's something out there. You know what I mean? Like that.
Well, like I said, this is the Truman Show, yo. I want to go see. Am I gonna reach a wall? Boom, boom.
Yeah. No, I mean, if you reach the wall, that's it. It's game over.
End the story. The credits roll.
There's no bounce off and cut. Oh yeah, we hit the wall, so we're just here to let you know that the wall or whatever. If you hit the wall, that's it.
That's crazy, yo.
Crazy.
Yo, you know what? They're constantly reconstructing the history. Is this? And I know, Noble Ali implored all the Moors to try to, you know what I mean? Make sure you get some literature out there.
Yeah.
Is this how many books you have now?
6 right now. 6.
Hold up. First of all, as an MC, how much CDs do you have? How many music you have? I mean, how many albums you have?
Music, we got right now, as far as the Moorish paradigm, we got 7 plus the Wisdom of the Womb, which is the 3 compilation. So that's 10. And then me and Exodus are working on something right now on a duet album.
That's sick.
Or a duo album and the Hellfire album. So looking at what 12 was that 12? Yeah. And
what about the Meridians? No.
Oh yeah, Mordians too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Too much.
So on the music side, he's dropping the knowledge and literature as far as book.
Yeah.
What are the books? What's the name of the books?
All the books you can get those at khalifamedia.com. The 2 I got right here is one of them is Who Stole the Fez. This was the second book I wrote because everybody who saw me in the Fez always asked if I was a Shriner. So that's what made me write this one.
Crazy.
And then 77 Amazing Facts About the Moors.
Mm-hmm.
This was in honor of J.A. Rogers' 100 Amazing Facts About the Moors.
Okay.
And just to because in the J.A. Rogers book there was a lot of colorable language, black, white, whatever like that. So we sort of did this one just so that we can talk about it from a Moorish perspective without the whole confusion talk.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And keep it specific to the Moorish paradigm.
Yeah, so you have like what, 7 books out there?
Yeah. So there's Nationality, the Order of the Day, which was that book was written. That was the first book I wrote. And that one was because we're coming out of the Rasta school of thought. And just like you're saying, as soon as you get this information, you're going to go tell everybody. And then told everybody, and everybody was still like, well, I don't know. So I was like, okay, well, if maybe a book form will help them make the transition a little bit
The
easier.
pioneer is calcified, yo.
Yeah. So that was that.
Be childlike, but not childish. Be childlike, be inquisitive, yo. How can you get this information and not be inquisitive?
You can't. But again, it's not.
At least I could raise my hat to the ones that got into the information, seen what it is, and find out that you know what, for whatever reason, I'm out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Those people, they don't want it anyway. So, you know what I mean. But the blind ones, I don't know.
Yeah. So that was your first book that you wrote.
Yeah. So then I wrote. There's a small book. It's like a Juali book, just dealing with the Negro Black colored labels. There's a book about Noble Juali's prophecies, which again, that was another one that people keep asking. Well, why is Noble Juali a prophet or whatever? So that one was taking some of his prophecies, breaking those down to see them in real time. And the Plenipotentiaries book, Noble Juali Plenipotentiaries, that was a book talking about what we were talking about earlier, all the different people who had some type of connection to Noble Juali and their teachings and his teachings and the relation. Yeah.
In your books, do you let them know where they could get the reference, where you get your reference from?
Oh yeah, bibliographies all day. Yeah.
Because I think you said it, it's important that as much as I say he's my teacher, I look into the people that taught him too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just to make sure everything is in line.
Yeah. So we put the work cited.
Okay.
In all the books, and then that's honors to
his books are like little university courses on some next level.
Honors to Khalifa Media for there's always a works cited page in all the books. And honors to Khalifa Media for doing all the editing.
Khalifa Media, they help
all the editing work.
My book too, 2017.
All the editing work was done by Khalifa Media.
Everything. Appreciate Khalifa Media. Check them out, khalifamedia.com. That's where they can get all your books. Where can they get your music from?
And the music is willofalah.com.
Okay.
Willofalah.com has all the music.
Okay, excellent. Before we close up, I want to ask, what does gaining back power look like? I feel like for some people, again, because of this race agenda thing, or more than anything, it's a class thing to me.
Yeah.
Than a race thing. It's a class thing. So even within that, the race, you got the race agenda and you got the classism, which is what it really is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What does gaining back power look like?
I think it was said
without it being offending or to be, if these guys get in power, I might get, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I think
I feel like that's a lot of that little fear is going on, where it's like, we're gonna deny you guys the truth.
Yeah.
You don't have the numbers, gonna deny you guys the truth. Just cause. You feel what I'm saying?
I think Fred Hampton said it best, that it's gonna come from white power for white people, brown power for brown people, red power for red people, and black power for black people. And everybody organizing under their, like they say in the scriptures, own vine and fig tree. So the Jews did that, and they're not even the real Jews. And look what they got. The Japanese did that after they got bombed, and look where they're at now. Right? The Germans did that under Hitler. The Filipinos are doing that under the Moros of the Philippines. Right? So all the power really comes from the people, but the people have to know who they are and what their nation is in order to have the power. So once the power gets back, then the people would realize where their allegiance is supposed to be. So instead of them, instead of them buying Nike sweaters, they're gonna have I am not black sweaters. They're gonna have Moorish clothing. You know what I mean? They're not gonna have a New York Yankees hat. They're gonna have Circle 7 hat. They're gonna have their kufis and their tams and their knitted stuff. They're not gonna have, you know what I mean?
Even when the other day, my last interview, I brought Jeru's hoodie. So
even
with Jeru,
you rep your own.
He's family.
You're gonna rep your own. You know what I mean? That's what power looks like. You know what I mean? Everybody looking out for their own. And then once you're looking out for your own under nationality, then you're not gonna have that thing that you're talking about with people say, well, how if they can't do that or whatever like that, if they do that and people are offended or whatever. Yeah. Nobody's mad at the Hindus for having little India.
So what you're talking about, basically, if you want to boil it down to the brass tacks of things, it's called group economics.
Yeah.
And it's hard for quote unquote black, Negro, colored people to do this because under the yoke of that, you will always have a cap. You can never go past it because others messing with you.
Yeah, and it's not racist because you have a cap. That's a self-inflicted cap. Because black only goes so far as you know what I mean, culture and heritage and stuff like that. Black only takes you so far. Because when you look up black, it only goes back to the 14th century. So anytime before that, there's nothing called black. So that's your cap. You know, the historic timeline is the cap. How far back do you go in history? Negro goes back to whatever. Black goes back to whatever. African goes back to whatever. You know, I'm going to say Chinese, they're talking about millions of years or whatever.
Big time.
Germans, they're talking about some hundreds of thousands of years.
Big time.
You know, Negro is right here. Black right here.
And as Moors with
all kids is right
Moors
here.
Is a 360
yeah,
thing.
Moors, that's like going
360.
I'm saying, yeah. So, you know.
That's why we say it's 360 degrees to this, not just 1 or 2 degrees.
Exactly.
Yeah, yo.
Yeah.
But you know what? That when you're talking about the cap, this is why I'm bothered. It saddens me, but it is what it is. You have these young entrepreneurs who are trying to figure it out, i.e., like he also rest in peace.
Yeah.
But because of that, again, he attached himself to this, whether you want to call it Negro back color or Bloods and Crip, which is the same shit.
Yeah.
And he, by all accounts, he was a good brother doing good things and probably had, you know what I mean? But again, there's a cap.
But also too, bringing him up, he wasn't even black. He had nationality. He was Ethiopian, Eritrean or something like that.
But this is what I'm saying. Even with that, saying you're Nigerian or what, there's still a cap with that.
Yeah. There's a cap on it to a degree, but it's broader than what the normal people are gonna. You know what I mean? So like when we look at him, for example, right? His cap was higher than the rapper guy cap. Yeah, the rapper guy cap was somewhere, but his cap was because he went into, you know what I mean, doing.
He was a man. He was moving like a man.
Doing industrious things. He got stores and all that stuff. He got whatever technological.
He was doing his thing.
He was doing things. You know what I'm saying? And again, that came from not having that mindset of capping yourself. Because he had nationality, he knew his culture, so that gave him a little extra that other people didn't have. You know what I mean? That he could get away with certain stuff. You know, but again, it's unfortunate that our people don't realize that they are capping themselves, and all they got to do is the same thing with slavery. When you study slavery, you find out that majority of the slaves, once they found out that slavery was over, all they do is stop saying that they're slaves. That's all. And slavery's over. Just stop saying you're a slave. And then there's no more slavery. If your name's Big John or whatever, you're probably a slave. If you're walking around with torn up pants and torn up stuff, more than likely you're a slave.
Mm-hmm.
But the guy who has the shirt with the tie on and the slacks, the little dress shoes, they're not even paying attention to him to try to put him on a rope or whatever, because he's not under the cap.
Straight. There's love.
Yeah.
Yo, my final question is, do you think your role as the GS, do you find that interfering in your personal relationship? Like, you know what I mean? Because being a GS, it's like, it's like, you know what I mean, being the priest or from imam and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
How do you balance those two worlds as the GS and your
Well, I think the difference with this is that from the GS perspective, we don't have state funding, whatever. So this is just what it is. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I don't have to play holy moly macaroni with people. You know what I mean?
I feel like this is where some people might look at and say, yo, hold on, they make the correlation between other quote unquote religious leaders.
Yeah.
Like they don't, because when he gets into debates with people, he might go there with you and put you on blast.
Yeah, you just
So for some people it's like, yo,
you're not supposed to be. Yeah, you're supposed to be,
No, fam, it's because I'm being me, fam.
Yeah,
this is who I am, fam.
That's the big difference. You know what I mean? There is a separation from the perspective of, there's that element of it where, the respectable whatever like that. But you'll get that when you deal with me on a one-way. If you're talking about some virtual reality, that's a whole different world. You're not getting the nice guy and all that stuff.
No, because now we're on record. Now we're on record.
Yeah,
now we're on record. Now we're on record.
That's virtual reality. That's trolls and agents and whatever who have to get certain talks. But link on the phone on a one-way, you're gonna get a real convo. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna get the yelling at and whatever else that you might experience online.
My empress, I'd be like, yo, I remember that girl, the giraffe girl that you put on blast recently.
Yeah.
Pole dancing girl. She's like, yo, this man's more hard. I'm like, yo, don't bother the man, yo, and he won't get at you. Yo, this is how we grew up. We grew up in the era where mans talked about each other's mom. And if your skin is not thick enough, you better knuckle up.
And it goes back to that too, that we're cut from a different cloth than the new agers, the millennials and whatever, people who never got licks and all that stuff. They don't know about honor and certain things like that. You know what I mean? That if you do something, you might have to take your sword out, kill yourself because you violated. You know what I mean? It's nothing personal. You know what I'm saying? You steal something, we're gonna cut your hand off. It's not personal. That's just what the rules are. But these people today, somebody was talking about it. Can't remember who was talking about it. Styles P or somebody. People just come online and they just say whatever, and you're just talking whatever. You don't know if this individual is gonna go murder kill themselves after. You know what I mean? Because you told them, your hat's twisted, and this man take offense and stuff like that. Why are you offended? It's not that serious. You know what I mean?
But it goes back to the virtual reality.
Yeah. Versus the reality. Yeah.
Like people are so invested in the virtual reality. Like for me, sometimes, I'm on the social media.
For sure.
Sometimes, I have children, so I ain't got time for it
like that. Yeah.
Out of my hand, I gotta do stuff.
Yeah.
But I can imagine for people who don't have responsibilities, you know what I mean? Nowadays, they just delve into a one.
They're consumed with that. Yeah.
It's crazy. But yeah, GS.
Yo, give thanks, yo. This was a great build.
Kudjo Adwo, if you didn't know, now you know. You know what I mean? Appreciate you. Appreciate your journey.
Appreciate you.
Like I said, once I got into the information, it was lights out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Lights out after that for me.
Straight.
Appreciate it. If you want any more information, like you said, rvbigpublications.com. They got information on declaring your nationality, books and so on, and videos. Kin and Land Moors 2 on YouTube.
Yeah.
You can check that out. He's on social media through Canaan Land Moore's Instagram page, and then he has his own personal page, Kudjo L.
Well, yeah.
So you know what I mean, you can contact him through that, you know. And Will of Allah, you can get his music off of that. Like again, khalifamedia.com, that's where the books are.
Yeah.
Again, thank you.
Thank you, Moor.
You, love you.
Appreciate
you. Like yesterday, we did a walk. Yesterday, the Moors got together. We did a walk, you know, that we usually do once a year, and all the children were there, and Kudjo was there. And with the whole lockdown, we haven't been really
able to, yeah.
Yo,
and
you know, my son cried after we left because we had to leave. The baby started to
yeah.
My son was like, yo, because all the children were playing.
Wanted to stay, yeah.
Do a natural thing. My son cried, yo, when we left. So
and again, those are
the things that make me know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think if we went to church, I don't think he's crying.
He cry.
There's no difference to the church.
Others to the walls over there.
Whatever, you know what I mean? Even if you go to the temple more, just know the temple's within you. Get out there, you know. This lockdown thing is like a reverse osmosis to us. Some I don't know.
Yeah. Whatever it is, it's not fair.
Yeah, no, and it's not helping.
It's damaging people. It's not healthy at all.
Big time. So it's like I'm telling you, maybe my son was crying after we
left
him out yesterday because he's like, yo, I want him to stay and play with.
That's not good, but it's not bad that he was crying. It says a lot. It says a lot.
We need to do it more. I was telling my empress the mothers need to conjugate, man.
Yeah.
We gotta figure this out. You know what I mean?
We'll figure it out, and we're figuring it out.
For sure. They're the beneficiaries, like we said. They are the beneficiaries.
Mm-hmm.
They are the beneficiaries, no doubt about it. You know what I mean?
Hands down.
So thank you, God.
Thanks again, Moor.
Again, Kudjo Adwo L, 27th Letters Podcast. Y'all have a blessed day. Peace.